Oh, forgot how loud this was. Alright, so here we go, we're going live. First thing to notice, I always say this in every King of the Hill. First of all, do you have a Lucio or not? Both teams have a Lucio. In fact, actually, both teams are running mirror matchups. So, not much to say specifically about each team and what they're running. But both, and this is going to be a little bit deceiving. Look how close this Pharah's inching in. Well, we'll just watch it first. And at this point, look, almost right down the middle. These teams are pretty evenly matched. Both teams are almost doing the identical thing, so let's see what happens. Both hogs miss. Everyone just misses all their abilities, and it's pretty even. But Cloud9 gets pushed back into the corner. And I was looking at this, I'm like, for a mirror matchup, this seemed really funky. So what happened? And actually, every ability was pretty much used in the same way. It's actually quite remarkably hilarious. Alright, so both used their concussive blast to get up here. Both are shooting down. Watch this. Both Reinhardt's charge and both Zarya's bubble. Followed by two Roadhogs both missing their hooks. It's pretty much a comedy of errors. It's pretty fucking funny. But what I noticed is that Cloud9 got their Ana grenade forced out early. And it's because of this rocket. Right? These two rockets. And I noticed something. See how far up this Pharah is? She's up here. So actually, her angle on this door is quite shallow. While the Pharah on the other team was way back here. And the angle she could get on this is really, really deep, actually. It's because of this false greed that Cloud9 got an extra rocket in. It's actually pretty crazy. So it's this, it's like, oh, like, because by Cloud9's perspective, they're like, hey, Pharah's not putting a lot of pressure. She's not committing. But she actually gets a deeper rocket in. And that leaves the Ana grenade used early. And when you have a mirror matchup, the Ana grenade just got put out now. That's what happens. Also, because they got pushed back, let's see if we can stop at the perfect frame. Pharah drops down. Here's Pharah. I know it's a blur. Sorry, I can't get much. She is 1 foot out of reach of Reinhardt's shield. And you see this thing right here? That's Roadhog's alt fire. Yeah, she dies. she gets blasted in the face with it. Because they got pushed back that extra 2 inches, when Pharah came down, she has a hard time keeping track of this and this. So she came down just short, which resulted in her death. And then cleanup kind of happens. It's not too big. Tree, I do use left and right to move frame by frame, but I have to pause because my annotation software forces the video to stop. So here we are. They decide to push the middle path, which is cool. They push out, so they get out of the choke point immediately, and they will get all. Now they have all 3 flanks available, including the high ground. What Kong does is really cool. Essentially, they just give it up. They don't fight for the high ground, and they fight down here. Cloud9 doesn't really take advantage of this and try to flank. You see that they poke a little bit above, but then they all come back. At this point, it just becomes almost like another mirror matchup straight across the point. Except because Cloud9 died and Kong won, they get the Ana alt advantage just by, it looks like 5% it was about. But the 5% is enough to get the other Reinhardt killed. Cloud9's Ana, it's at this point it's useless to use. So that's really, really good idea of using a very slight, it's a very, very small alt advantage they had, and they used it beautifully. Also, when Cloud9 came out of here, they used Lucio boost, which means for the next fight, unless they wait a lot of time for the boost to finish or to recharge, Kong now has a Lucio boost advantage as well. So it was cool that they just gave up the high ground immediately. Now this is important. This right here, let me get Pickety pow. This right here, this like 2-second view, Farah noticed, hey, they're not pushing in this way, they're going this way. What's the most important goddamn thing in the game? Information. So, what do they do with this information? First of all, look, the Reinhardt, you're gonna see it, Reinhardt's already facing this way. Ana here, Lucio here, Roadhog's down. Oh, there's Roadhog's right here. So they've already placed their formation how they want to attack, right? If they didn't know if they're going left or right, they couldn't commit like this. And if we watch very carefully, right here, very briefly, we can see Farah's feet. She concussive blast over the top of them because she knew they were committing this way because of this line of sight disadvantage, the building. Yeah, we can see what's coming. They had no chance. 3-for-1 pick, and then they just crashed. That is information winning. Just straight up. The knowledge of that beforehand, won. It would have been so difficult to know she was coming because she, people don't know this. Well, I think some people know this. Farah up high, if you stop flying and you just fall, you'll make no noise. So if you get really high and then fall all the way down and alt here, it's essentially incredibly, it's silent. There is no noise. So this happens, Zarya, I mean, I can't, this gets womboed to all fucking hell. I don't need to explain that to you people, because they got effed up. No, pop. Keep ahead a little bit. So notice, Cloud9, for better or for worse, they like this lineup. 5 didn't change. They got a soldier. Kong, on the other hand, went super dive. Dive. Protect the dive. So, they're going to be more aggressive, naturally. We'll watch the first push. Oh yeah, and both teams have a Lucio. Sorry, I didn't mention that before, but I like to mention that. Lucio, so they're both going to get to the point at the same time. Or should. Here we go. Exactly what we thought it was going to happen, happened. They had the more aggressive lineup, so when they reach mid, they dive. Here they are on top of them already. But Cloud9 backed up as a team. They received the force, right? If this happens all too often, if you try to reinforce this, the dive comp is going to crush you. You're too brittle. They're going to crush you. This is what the dive comp is meant to crush. What you need to do is you need to back up as a team. And they back up and they just formed up here. And then the dive uses all of their movement abilities, such as Diva's thrusters, Genji's dash, any other movement abilities that they, or any abilities in general that they used in this time frame, are used up, and you start to get a very slight advantage that you can take advantage of. So what happens is Diva, I don't know if you guys saw it, Diva gets hooked during this aggression. She gets demeched. So already that's a really big win. Cloud9 now sees a way to push out. They do push out. But as the Reinhardt dove in, this is really smart on the Genji's part, the Reinhardt dove in, Genji dove back. Because they were lacking a tank, also this Roadhog was near death. It was kind of like a 2-for-1 deal. You would want to dive anyways, just to abuse this right here. So now, they're still trying to bust out of this choke point, and they do it to some degree. But again, we just heard Ana ult. Ana has an ult percentage of 14 on the other Ana. And they use this just to bully him, just to push him right back in. She dies, but it's definitely worth. I mean, they took the point, they got to redo the push. A clear victory. And the reason why this won is because the dive comp, like, they did push him back into this corner, and it took extra time for them to come out to get on point. In that extra 10 seconds it took them to come out, everyone had, well, Ana specifically had her ult. They saw how they're getting engaged and they can counter appropriately. So this was an interesting one. Reinhardts are exchanged. Watch this. Blue Reinhardt misses. Red Reinhardt engages. Both Zaryas mirror each other's movements as well, except an Ana soldier's flanking with ults. I think this is going to be one of the biggest themes in Overwatch to come. Is going to be like this 5-1 or 4-2 flank. So what I mean by a 5-1, like you put 5 people up here, and you flank this way with 1, or a 4-2. 4 people, especially when you have 2 tanks, can hold the area pretty much just as good as 5. So they did a 4-2 split, and with Soldier on ult, like, it's devastating. If you don't have a Reinhardt shield up, you're toast. So this was a bit of a misplay. The Reinhardts both dive past each other. Roadhog fills the gap, kills the Reinhardt. Lucio ult saves the Roadhog, and now Kong is the one pushed back into a corner. And if we look very, very closely at this, we'll actually see what I would call a misplay. McCree is going to stun Reinhardt. He got him right here. He's stunned. But the follow-up with ult is a second too late, and he gets his shield up pretty much instantly. Bro, can you lower video volume? I guess I can. What'd you say, Progress? You're gonna appear here. A review of VOD without audio. I guess I could. I don't see why not. I mean, if it's a good enough video, if we can learn a lot from it, then yeah. So, back to this game. C9 pushes up. The McCree stuns, but the Ryan gets his ult blocked because it's just a second too late. I want some sound. So right here, the shield gets broken, and as expected, they charge forward. But when they charge forward, they are greeted with a Roadhog ult. Now it gets stopped immediately, but damage was done. Reinhardt's dead. Also, Lucio ult. Roadhog can't kill this guy, even with the extra McCree stun. They cleaned up 2 on top. They also cleaned up 1 on point. Forces a reset. And then here's McCree just being cheeky. So yeah, that was also... they kind of did the reverse of what I said before. So what they have here is... they did a 4-2 split. But with ultimates, C9 with the 2 here, one, they killed one of these guys, and then they delayed the rest. So you can bridge a numbers gap with an ultimate. Yeah. I think that's really important to know, and if you can take a superior fight with lower numbers with an ultimate, this is when you start getting really good ult efficiency. If you can use one ult to hold back 4 people, and use your 4 people to kill their 2, then you can easily rotate the 4 to kill the other 4 that you've held up with one ultimate. Not only is this good because you only spend one ultimate, but you also help these guys build up their percentage. And the more I start watching these pro games, I start seeing this a lot at times. Specifically with Zarya ult, to allow you grab 2 or 3 people and then you allow your team to build up ult. I think it's a smart usage. Because then you're essentially spending one of your ults to gain 3, which is phenomenal trades. So now, the 4th attack? Yeah, this is push number 4 on this point. Here comes the normal poke phase. Shield battles ensue. But Reinhardt, I cannot tell what Reinhardt did here. He drops the shield, it does not get broken. But he tries to get a little bit greedy. Maybe with a fire strike or something. But his bluff gets immediately called by Roadhog, who instantly hooks him. On his way out, since he's so afraid of dying, he turned around and he ran. So running backwards is slower than running forwards. They nano McCree, and on his way back, he forgets to put up his shield because he's too afraid about dying. Guy gets 2 picks instantly. At this point, it's just cleanup. They got such a superior numbers advantage. Zoom in of shame. No, I think that was the zoom in of success. Sorry, I get those 2 mixed up. Yeah, it's really hard. I'm not used to watching the Korean scene. The shame cameras and the courage cameras are quite different, or quite similar, I should say. So here's C9. They're just gonna push straight up on this. The Reinhardts essentially exchange charges, and they just fall in the middle. The red Reinhardt gets his shield up first. I don't know why, but that's what happened. Zarya ults between the front lines and the back lines. You'll see, there's this little gap between where the Reinhardt is. So this is an incredibly good use. If we're looking top down, let me go blue just so you can see it. Here's the staircases. Right. C9 was... Oh, you're not going to be able to see that there. You'll be able to see pink, though. The tanks were there, and the rest of the team was here. And Zarya came in this way and ulted right in the middle. Right, like, just... strong use. And that's another instance of using one ult to great success to help build all of your other team's ults. And so here we're going to see the disadvantage of what we just saw the advantage of. Here we have Soldier flanking. Soldier flanking with an Ana. But notice what happens. This is the downside of a flank. Is that it takes time. This is a really, really big point. And whenever I see people being aggressive, you'll usually see me say, hey, it's good that you're a bit aggressive. You just have to pull it back some. The reason I say that is, watch this. Right now, I don't know if C9 or if Kong knows that there's only 4 here, and they're flanking with 2. Well, on this side, they have all 6. Well, technically, they have 5, and Ana can do her job completely back here, so it's still 6. Well, when you keep pressure constantly on the enemy, what you can do is you're like, all right, I'm fighting them. This is a real fight, and they only have 4. This 100% shows that they're flanking. And when you know a flank is happening, especially a large flank like this is going to take this entire flank around the map, going to probably take 4 or 5 seconds. In those 4 or 5 seconds, you can crash with superior numbers, right? You just take the 5 or the 6, and you just kill the 4. And by the time this flank gets done, you can kill the 2, right? And that's kind of what happens to a lesser extent. There's Zarya ults, but the Reinhardt ulted as well. So we can't see it, but we can see it here. So I think as soon as they notice the numbers disadvantage, they ulted, and they start killing them. Now Soldier's back here. Alright, that's great. He gets 1. Yeah, he gets a second. They wait out the ult, and now it's a 4v2. This is the disadvantage of flanking, is time. Timing is everything. And flanking, if you flank for too long, it just doesn't work. You see, Roadhog just kind of bullies everyone off the point. That's what Roadhog does. And from here, Kong takes the match. I really like that maneuver. When you see less numbers in a flank, you just go in there and kill them. Let's go. Quick jump to Numbani. We'll just briefly talk about Cloud9's lineup. They're running D.Va Winston, so already you're seeing like a dive sort of comp. The Honest Soldier, obviously they're going to hold the high ground. And then Torbs there just kind of to blend in the middle. Well, Cloud9, well, they're not running any of that stuff. Let me just skip ahead. Cloud9 runs, of all things, a Reaper. Pharah Mercy, D.Va Winston. So this is like heavy dive. This is, it's not heavy dive. Like a Genji would be heavy dive. But this is definitely, they got dive planned, but they have a Reaper, which is really short range. He's not normally considered part of the dive. But what C9 does here, I really, really like. It's an interesting concept. So watch this shit. The Pharah's harassing over here like she should do. And then pow. Reaper's already killed Roadhog. But already there's 3 dead. That's how fast this dive comp worked. Then dive comp does what dive stuff does. They dive on every last person available. Soldier bites the dust. Yeah, they get wrecked. So what happened? I think this is incredibly cool. So on this flank, on this upper flank, they have Reaper, D.Va Winston. Oh, and Lucio. They have these 4. Now watch what happens. Alright, here it is. The dive comp is already in. Roadhog's already at half health. In like a second, 2 seconds. What they do is they come over with Winston, they go through with D.Va, and what they do is they speed boost everyone, and the guy in the middle is Reaper. And Reaper's gonna reap. So, this Reaper, he just decimates Roadhog. This is a really cool way of tank busting. Because the problem with this long range comp is that with Soldier up here, and probably Ana up here, and everyone else, like the meat up here, so all the tanks. What dive comps usually do is they try to get back to the squishies, and they jump on the squishies. But there's all this distance, right? This is a lot of distance to cover. You use a lot of abilities up. You know, you got to hit the ground, and you're already kind of at a disadvantage because you have used your abilities up just to get to where they're at instead of using it on them. Well, this dive comp, it dives the front lines. Yeah, so it's a really cool idea. If we're just looking at a top-down view, and if you got 3 guys here, and 2 guys here, and 3 guys here, instead of Oh god, the text button. Get out of here, text button. No, I don't want to press T. So instead of the dive comp going around these guys and killing the backlines, what they do is with overwhelming power, Diva, Winston, Reaper, Lucio, they just dive and kill one of these guys. While the Pharah came in with, I don't know if she was mercied with it, but yeah, Pharah Mercy came in over here and took out one of these guys. So it was almost like a double dive comp, where half of your dive is just straight on top of the tank line, and then your weaker dive is onto the back lines. But this just cracks the defense open. This destroys the defense. Also, like, I just want to make it a note, is that, guys, they used a goddamn Reaper. This guy's unheard of. I haven't seen him in years. So it's... for a team to find a use for him like this, like, okay, now we gotta think, right? All right, can we tank bust with Reaper Lucio most defense lines? Like, if they run a counter dive comp, we've seen this a lot, dive comp versus dive comp. Well, can you substitute a Reaper in there, so when they dive on you, you can dive straight on the people that have overextended and killed them? It's a really neat idea. And since it uses a hero that's less used than Junkrat, I would say, like, fucking props to them. So this push coming up, I haven't thought about this, but this actually happens. So they're still running a divey-ish comp. Look at that. Do you guys see this? Watch this Winston. The Winston goes to dive. Oh, and he gets fucking blocked by the road sign. I never thought that would happen.
My genius is finally recognized.
So, everyone back here is safe now. Oh, get stuffed, Winston. But Pharah does a really cool thing. Pharah popped Soldier that way, and popped, I believe it's a Zarya this way. And so now the dive comp, it split the team in two with the Concussive Blast, and now they're diving on the people that they want to kill. So the Pharah dives in. Ana uses her grenade, and I believe Lucio used their boost. So these defensive abilities have been used up. This is important to notice, because while the team is diving, also Zarya is over here holding off the reserves. Diva and Winston kill the Reinhardt. Reinhardt's dead because there was no Ana grenade and no Lucio boost for heal. It was actually really, really close. If you look at Reinhardt's health, like, he starts getting healed, and he lose it. So he was about to get healed, and Ana is in here, so she was definitely healing him. But without the grenade resource, because of the dive expended the defensive resources immediately, they got a pick. Here, this is a really good use of Pharah ult. You pick off two, and this entire time, the rest of the team, so it was just Zarya mainly was holding off this. She was just staying right here, denying this area to the rest of the team. The soldier ran away, and he, well, can't run from justice. I think you can't. Maybe you can. I don't know. I'm not that much of a runner. So that was a really cool... Also, hold on. Stop. Zig. Thank you for the sub, man. Thanks for the fucking sub. Hope you enjoy your emotes. Yeah, look at that. He fucking hyped himself up. Hell yeah. I like that. It's very, very greedy of you. That's dope. I like that. So, as I was talking shit, the second push happened. So they tried to stop this right at the last minute. Like, right before they cap it. The Reinhardt jumps in, he boosts, or he charges with Zarya Bubble, and the Roadhog jumps down as well. He tries to get a hook, doesn't land. Now from here, Ana ult on the Roadhog. Roadhog starts whooping some ass. But you don't hear it, they capped it. I believe at some point, Cloud9 made the smart decision. They're like, we don't think we can take this unless we expend a lot of alts. Winston alt, clear the point. You see him, he smacks the shit out of Zarya. Watch her. She's just gonna go from here over to here really quick. Watch this. Wait. Yeah, oh, there it was. Watch this. Get out of my way, bitch. Smack. Right there. You saw the bubble go away, and then he smacks those guys away too. And then they D.Va ult the retreat. They only get one, but it's something. But I just want to watch that again, because Winston smacking people around is funny as hell. Get that fucking bitch. Here she is. Watch this. Get out of here, you bitch. Pow! She's out of the game. These guys, get out of here, you fuckers. Biggity pow! He takes a nano-boosted shotgun to the face, but it's Winston, dude. The guy's a gorilla. He doesn't care. On to the third point. At this stage of the game, one thing should be noted. Mercy has yet to use her ult. That's a testament of C9's strategy, I believe. So they take the corner for free. Usually you get some crap when trying to take that corner, but I believe... Well, I don't know why. Here they go. Now they're starting to punish a little bit. So Soldier comes out here, and this is an incredibly nice response by C9. That was good, but... Let's go back. Oh, I'm hitting spacebar on my other page. So this Soldier comes up and above to try to, get a tactical visor flank. But he discovers the best thing possible, a Mercy. He tries to kill her. She gets away. She breaks line of sight. As soon as Soldier popped his ult, Lucio ults. So now they're all protected. Not only are they all protected, but they immediately send the D.Va up as well to deal with them. They just want to completely shut this shit down. He goes to run away. For some reason, there's a Pharah indoors. Pharah kills him. And then during that, I believe a Reinhardt was just killed quite easily. Reinhardt was here. They had the hit point advantage from the Lucio ult, so they just probably crashed him. Because the spectator mode is limited, I can't see everything. But one thing to notice, how Mercy used her ult, and so did Pharah. So they rezzed Pharah, and then she immediately ulted. So they had really high stock into this push. And I would too. If you have them stuck back in the choke points, and you have a Pharah above them, this makes it very difficult to push into. Again, same exact thing happens as the first point. It's just a normal way of initiating on a lost point. Send in the Reinhardt immediately. Put him on point. He starts getting attention. And now here comes the flam. Like if you... flam, like when you're doing drums. Like it's a second hit. It's a second hit you gotta worry about. So here's the flim. Where's the flam? Well, the flam's is... nano-boosted Roadhog. It's never the first part of the attack you gotta worry about, it's the second part. They actually wear down Zarya's shield, and then the D.Va boost kills them. But because of the defensive Zarya ult, they just get him. They clear house. And then it's just a simple cleanup. Pharah gets stuck in the corner. And... does she die? No, she doesn't. She gets away. So at this point, we'll notice a wholesale change. Pharah goes McCree. Mercy went Lucio. Wait, no. Mercy went Ana. Sorry. Am I right? Mercy went Ana? Yeah, they had a Lucio before. Oh, okay, that's why I was confused. So, the Mercy switched to Lucio. The Lucio switched to Ana. And now they're running much more of a traditional get up in your face and start fighting. Oh, also they ditched the D.Va and they grab a hog. I forgot to mention that. Tracer's trying to do cute stuff like Tracer's trying to do. So this stun, this maneuver, this right here is really good. Reinhardt's shield's hurt as it is. But instead, he gets stunned. Shield gets broken, and then it gets hooked. The pressure on the Reinhardt is phenomenal. They defensive Lucio ult as soon as the Zarya ult came out, so it was kind of mitigated, but not really. They just lived a little bit longer than they should have. And now the Roadhog starts jamming the space. This is what Roadhog ult is really good for. Whenever there's space that needs to be filled, Roadhog can do it quite well. He just pushes everyone back. This buys enough time that Reinhardt they picked is now alive. As far as I'm concerned, let me look at my notes. The front lines have been reestablished. Reinhardt's back. He's got a front line. You know, everything seems normal. They actually get a hook off, and Reinhardt finishes it up. Let's see if we can see the hook. There it is, right there. Zarya gets hooked. One pick completely kills the push. Not only that, but they, like I said, they reestablished the line, and they're a man down. You don't want to just run back into that with no reason. So Tracer being cutesy again. This time it looks like the decision was made to push out top, which is cool. That's interesting. I haven't seen much top pushes before, but hey, they immediately come in. They try to force space with this combo, which is, it's not great, but it's not bad. It is a great combo to force everyone back and to force shields up. But he had 3 seconds left on this, and he immediately uses it. I don't know if you saw the bubble not get put on, but the only 2 targets are bubbled right now. So even if this shield goes down, it's not a kill, and we're proven right. So the Reinhardt charges the other Reinhardt, and then immediately gets slept. Now, this Reinhardt turns around, and he does like a fucking no-look. He's like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen. They're going to be right on my ass. They're pushing. Turn around, hammer down, gets a lot of people. Not only does he hammer down, like, this is great. He does a 360 no-scope. Here's the 180 no-scope, and then he no-scopes again and charges the sleeping Reinhardt to death while his team cleans up the people that got stunned. That's really, really good teamwork. He had faith that his teammate was going to hit someone on the ground. And yeah, the Reinhardt did some cool-ass shit. So now the push-up top didn't work, so now they're pushing down low again. And if you remember what I said that was really strong, like I see the 5-1 push happening more often, and this is why. They sent no one top, and there's a sneaky little Zarya. You can take your, place some bets and take a guess what's going to happen. Because it probably just happened. Tracer, combo, yeah, it's all over. So clean up. That's pretty straightforward. What do they call it? The Big Bang? It's not actually a bad name for that. I kind of like it. So now McCree went Soldier on Cloud9. How? McCree went Soldier? Also, look, they're pushing up top again after they get punished. A little late, but hey, it's better than nothing. For some reason, I'm not sure. I think they took too much damage, and also purple is on them. That's a really good Ana grenade, but they back out, and they heal up. So now they repush after everyone's healed and purple's done. Roadhog just missed a hook there, so you got 6 seconds. This Roadhog ult He felt, and I like this. I really like this Roadhog ult. He felt something was going to happen, so he ulted to try to push him back. Whatever their plans were, he just didn't want that to happen, and he starts the Roadhog ult. And you see Reinhardt gets pushed back right there, and he kind of gets pushed back here, which gives the allied Reinhardt time to put up his shield. Then while they get Zarya ulted, the Reinhardt ult didn't come through. Because of that, the Reinhardt charged in. So there's a enemy Reinhardt right here. Oh, and they got back. Yep. So defensive Uncia ult. And it's hard to see. You guys probably didn't catch it. But right here, this hook, it grabs a McCree. The Cloud9's man up. They're starting to push in. Defensive ult. This is really hard to see, but there's a soldier right here. And their Ana back here boosted him. This becomes incredibly important. Because for one, Kong knows this. They see him. He's ulted, and Ana has sight on him. It's not like this is a stealthy operation. So that Reinhardt that lived, he ulted. Remember how the Reinhardt was back here? He came around here and ulted around the Cloud9 Reinhardt. He gets a couple kills. Gets charged. They kill the Cloud9 Reinhardt, and this is at 9 seconds. So this is pretty much over. The Zarya lives, but what is this? From the shadows, it's a goddamn soldier, and he cleans house. He kills almost everyone. So what happened? Remember, I mentioned that this Anubis came out, but he's only at 50, about 50%. He's at 50%. So the soldier right now, after the McCree died here, and now this flank is open. So that's why Soldier takes it. Soldier takes the flank. When he's above everyone without ult, he gets nano boosted. And now we want to take one notice of this. Watch this Roadhog get messed up. While all this is going on, Roadhog starts taking a lot of damage. And Tactical Visor starts getting up there. He actually finishes his ult by shooting this guy with rockets from behind. And now he has his ult. For whatever reason, no one addressed this soldier flanking issue. And they tried to dive the main flank, right? They tried to dive the main path. Like 9 times out of 10, this works out. This is one of the times where it doesn't. It just so happened that essentially the 5-1 flank, the one was a soldier and you used all your abilities. So they push, but it's a bit of a scramble. We can describe this better. Let me go back. So here the two are pushing. Roadhog has to jump on point, but he gets shredded. Just pretty much instantly. But this buys enough time for Reinhardt to get on point. Now, as soon as 2 people are on this cart, notice how the soldier's back here. Right? The soldier is no longer staying on the cart. He's using his range to his advantage. So if anyone wants to deal with the prime damage dealer, they have to dive really far. Everything seems kosher. You know, things are going all right. The Panic Winston comes out to get the battle faster. But that works out to their advantage. This protects all the long-range classes. They dive the Reinhardt as hard as they can. She gets Zarya ult. She tries to pull everyone off the cart. Some guys on the cart because they don't cap it. But with a Winston, you just dive on top of that shit. That Winston switch was really, really strong. By this point, they only have a couple alive to deal damage. Zarya ult gets nothing, and yeah, at this point, it's 5v1. That was an incredibly good play by that soldier. He actually all of C9. I don't want to put it just on the soldier, because if we just think about this, this is the best we're gonna get. Hold on. So if we think about it, at this point, god damn it. There's 4 of the enemy here. Let me do this in red. Actually 5. 5 are here, the soldiers flanking on the side. I believe Kong does the right thing and they crash the entire team, right? They just kill everyone. You should use your superior numbers. They're like, listen, just let that soldier screw with the Roadhog in the back. While he kills R1, R5 are going to kill his 5 with ult advantage. And from there, we're just going to clean him up, come back and clean him up. But this cleanup takes a little bit too long, and the soldier does kill the Roadhog. Now all that's left, it's 200 hit points, 200 hit points, 200 hit points. No one has any defensive abilities, and a Zarya, who already used her abilities. Well, actually, she didn't. She used it right there. And the soldier comes in and mops up. I really think Kong had the right idea. I don't know if they depended too much on the Roadhog cleaning the soldier up, but it looks like they committed one too many to the main force, and they didn't treat the soldier as big of a threat as it is. Let's just skip ahead. This is perfect. Yeah. So what we have here, let's just look at this. Builder, so there's a Cloud Knight on defense. Dive comp, and then Ana soldiers is long range. So they put more into the dive comp than the other team, than Kong the first time around. And they're running the standard 3-2-1. 3 tanks, 2 supports, 1 DPS. Now here's a funny thing that happens. It's hard to see what happened, but Winston missed his jump. There's a Winston right here. He's gonna fall. So there's a Winston down here. The D.Va can get back up. The Genji can get back up. But their dive comp, look what happens. The D.Va gets killed. Oh, that's a really good shot. So the D.Va gets demeched, and the Winston's not part of this. The strength of the dive comp is that all 3 or all 2 dive at the same time. You see the Winston's still down here. What they needed, they really needed that bubble to defend them, and they needed to pick one target out and kill it. But because the dive comp came in separate waves, no one died. Soldier wins a really good one-on-one right there. It's an incredibly strong one-on-one to win. But from here, this is another super good one-on-one. He just destroyed Genji that was ulting. Soldier's holding the high ground, and because of the numbers advantage, and because the dive comp has been separated up, and actually all of its parts have been pretty much killed, this point's pretty much won. So he tries to ult, he gets a soldier, but at this point, I mean, they got a D.Va, they got a Reinhardt, you're not killing a lot of people. And there's a Roadhog. They try to dive more, and so they're already at a numbers disadvantage, and I would say a formation disadvantage, because they have to come through a bit of a choke point. While these guys are all spread out, well, he's spread out, whatever, he's asleep, but he's spread out. But they all have view on the choke point, so it's quite the formational advantage they have. Now this is cool. The Reinhardt, for whatever reason, dives past, which is cool. What this Reinhardt does is he goes, my team can handle this. We'll take the 5-on-1. This guy is just going to bully everyone this way. And that's exactly what happens. He tries to kill the Roadhog. The Reinhardt, he does a bit of damage, and then he shields up, right? He just buys the team space and time. From here, they're down a second guy. Right, they were down a soldier before, now they're down a Reinhardt, and they're just jumping on point. It's all dead. So this was, that second little flank where Reinhardt cut off the team was cool. And then the main attack was pretty cool. I like both of them. So here we have the streets phase. Abilities are getting thrown out. I'll let me move the mic a little bit closer. I really like that little table that Soldier shoots from. That's pretty cool. So D.Va sends her ult up and over. This is a defensive ult. So Reinhardt has to turn his shield, and you see as soon as it blows up, he turns back, and it's a really good guess that he thought the team was going to take advantage of him being turned around. So he just turned around and blind ulted. The problem is that there's a Roadhog here, and the Roadhog essentially pushed everyone this way. There needed to be some communication, or there's some lack of communication here between these two guys. I mean, it's not bad. It sucks, but it's, you know, it's not the most optimal thing. But it's not. Remember when the Soldier or the Reinhardt, when he was on defense, that's what he did, and it worked to great success. Right? So it's not a bad idea. It's not like a misplay, but there was miscomms or something like that. So after all those ults were expended, and this is another Overwatch fundamental. Well, no, never mind. It's backwards. I won't repeat it. Essentially, the defense had space to retreat while Kong used all its ults. And then, the fucking sneaky Zarya. There was a Zarya in here. They didn't check their corners, and they paid for it. More importantly, everyone's getting ult right now. Everyone's just building up percentage. Zarya tries some cute stuff. It almost works. You'll see a couple of them land here. Yep, there's one that just landed. This is funny as shit. Here we go. Alright, that's a Nano Soldier. It's hard to see. That's a Nano Soldier, and of course, this is a Nano Soldier. Both use their ults, both get nano boosted, and the tanks kind of cover for them each. So this breaks even. I mean, this is quite dead even right here, ult-wise. But fucking sneaky Zaryas, man, this entire game. She goes back, pulls the back lines together, and they get a couple kills. This is a slight misplay, I would say, is that this... Cloud9 has 3. 1, 2, 3. And they have the 4th soldier alive, and he's on the high ground. So I believe Reinhardt believes they have some type of chance, but there's a 3rd that dies, and then Reinhardt ults. All this does, it's one thing to waste an ultimate, but it also staggers the spawn, right? Because he stunned everyone. Everyone lived for 2 seconds, 3 seconds longer than they should have, so they got staggered by another 3 to 4. I don't know if there's any chance they could defend that one. Probably not, but that just removed any chance whatsoever. And this is where Cloud9 does something. They do this a couple times. I'm not exactly sure, but they send in the D.Va ult over, and they kind of use this just to claim the corner. Defense doesn't have to initiate, right? The attackers have to initiate. That's the job of attackers. So it's weird for the defense just to throw an ult in there just to get back this corner for like 20 to 30 seconds. If that. So they just come back after that ult was used up. Oh god, there's so much shit that happens at this point. So here we see, and this is the end of it, the tail end. Cloud9's cleaning up with the Zarya ult. But what happened before this? Because it's kind of funny. Where are we at? Soldier, Ana. The Soldier-Ana duo, they flank around back. So we'll watch this. Soldier-Ana, and what do they find? They find, if you didn't see this, another Soldier-Ana. Soldier on offense used their ults. Defensive ults were pushed out too, but more importantly, Lucio's ult was used, which gave them the advantage. Soldier kills soldier because of that advantage, and then gets slept. So while this flank evened out, with the Lucio bonus in health, they pushed him back to this corner. Zarya ulted them when they're together and cleaned up. Which is good, and this is how I kind of see, if Junkrat was ever played, how people would play him. Essentially, you put pressure this way to force him into a small area, and then the Zarya ults on top of that. Right? You just push him into a corner, ult on top. If it was Junkrat, you'd shoot on top. But no, that was good tactics on their part. They destroyed the flank, and then they pushed on the main force with an ult. And right here, look at this sneaky little fucker. D.Va walks past, and then cover's blown. This is so close. He doesn't get the stun off. It's so goddamn close. I think it got past the shield, and the bubble saved him. But it was so close that Reinhardt followed up with an ult. They thought they got the stun off, and so they immediately ulted, and it just didn't get anything. So their plan failed. Zarya again flanks, gets the backline with an ultimate. But as you just saw, the main force got Reinhardt ulted, and it stunned a couple. So while their supports are getting killed, the main force gets killed. Right? And now the Zarya's back here pretty much alone. Just her and a Reinhardt. And they both die. So that was a little bit... It was smart on Kong's part, because while the Zarya flanked, even though they had two here, Lucio still kind of does his job. So really, it's only like Zarya's stopping like one guy. Kong then ults the main force. They trade ults, but there was nothing committing with the Zarya, and there was everything committing with the Reinhardt ult. So it's really good. They're probably thinking they're going to get more of the Zarya ult and then engage at the same time. So they do a pincer. They'd come this way as Zarya ulted from behind. But this got shut down by a Reinhardt ult, which is great. That's how you want to use Roadhog, Zarya, Reinhardt, these guys that can stop entire teams in their tracks. What you want to do is you want to get the enemy to commit one side, and then you want to crush the follow-up. Like I said, the first attack is not the important one. It's the second. It's the follow-up. So here we go. Just some poking, some posturing. Some aggressive posturing that gets the Reinhardt killed. Definitely way too aggressive. So, this I have mixed feelings about. So they killed the Reinhardt. This team is going to be backing up immediately because the Reinhardt's lost, right? They just want to buy space. So what happens? They nano boost Zarya, but they were already backing up. So now there's all this space that Zarya has to get through. And so what does the defense do? Well, they just get a longer range character, and they ult him. They do come out a little bit ahead because two ults were used for this one. But this space that, they created, they definitely used to the best of their ability. D.Va gets on cart to pause things out. And at this point, everyone's back. Right? Both teams full strength. Reinhardt's in front. Reinhardt's in front. As far as I'm concerned, again, the lines have been reestablished, and this is essentially another push. D.Va gets her mech back. That was actually a big difference between the first push. And now this is a defensive Zarya ult, but the offense McCree's ult on top of it. And you'll notice, watch this. Watch everyone's health. We're just going to start back up. D.Va takes some damage, and that's about it. Nothing else happens. They traded. It was pretty much a wash. D.Va gets demeched again by being a little bit too greedy, and I think that keeps on biting them in the ass. And here's a really cool maneuver. Now, it doesn't seem like much what happened, but let's look at it in slow. So, I need it slower. There is a Cloud9 Reinhardt behind this cart. There's the Zarya. The Reinhardt's behind her as well. So here, the offensive Zarya pushes in. So she pushes in, and she gets 2 people. Lucio ults to save them, but more importantly, this D.Va comes back. This D.Va comes back to shield them from damage. Now, remember that Reinhardt that we forgot about? Well, yeah. He gets a really good stun off. So what happened in slow motion was the Reinhardt kept this area, and he shielded here. Zarya ulted at this point. We'll do a whoa. That's a Zarya ult for sure. Instead of the Reinhardt having to go this way to save his team, they're like, no. We'll Lucio ult. There's a soldier and Ana in here. We're going to Lucio ult. Everyone gets the buff. And to mitigate this even more, D.Va dove into this on herself, like by herself. This was a definite a move. It wasn't like she got sucked into it. She went in there, and then she defensive matrixed all of the damage off. All while Reinhardt stayed here, and he stayed alive because there's a shield going on. Now, I think there's a psychological thing where everyone wants to take advantage of this, and they're going to start looking this way, and the Reinhardt doesn't put down his shield. He just stays here. He buys his time. And then as soon as this is all over with, and they all live because of the Lucio ult, and because of the defensive matrix, Reinhardt ults this way, and gets all the kills. And that's how they cleaned up. It was really, really good. And that was their final push. There's 3 seconds left. 2, 1. I thought that was really nicely done. Really good faith in your teammates. They split up their tanks. They're like, hey, D.Va, go to this thing, stop all the damage. I'm going to hold this with the shield. As soon as that's all done and they back up because they didn't get shit, I'm going to ult on them. And that's it for that video. We're going to round 2. So right now, if you can't tell by this, set 1 I think was Kong, and then this was C9 that just won that. So now we're going to everyone's favorite map, fucking Anubis. Lucio, I guess he does a bit of scouting, but, you know, they can change at any point in time, so it doesn't really matter. James, I kind of look over briefly at chat, but not too much. I see if you guys have questions or if you're complaining about stuff. But that's about it. I mean, I ignore the people that are like, hey, play Junkrat, be funny. And I'm like, hey, fuck off. It's analysis time. You prefer Volskaya over Anubis? You're a fucking crazy ass son of a bitch, James. So, pow, blah, 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 blah. Let's go back. Hold on, I didn't introduce everyone. So, what I usually do... Here, we can look at my terrible spelling mistakes. What I usually do I like this 2 CP shit. Like, even I'm upset at looking at this shit. Like, I'll call myself out. And I'm like, alright, Kong defense. They got 4 tanks with Mei. They got insane close range damage in dealing with people. So they need to force the enemy into them at all costs. While the C9 offense, they got Pharah and Widow, so they got long range. And then they have a bit of a dive, right? So they're going to put a lot of pressure with the dive comp. And then they're going to use the high ground and the far space, to their advantage. So this is, I usually call my own shit. I'm like, all right, Chro, are you really know what you're talking about? And then we're going to see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, like, I just learn, and it's kind of funny. So we're gonna see if I'm right or wrong. I kind of like calling my own shit here. So as expected, Widow's doing Widow stuff. Spider-loving bitch is just sitting back and sniping. Well, Pharah, she's up above. So you can already see the effects of a good Widow. They're straddled around here and here. That's how scared they are of this Widow right now. All the open space has been claimed. So Pharah has free reign here. She's so good. Winston dives on him. At the same time, Genji's on top of him. All while this is going on, like, Widow's taking shots at him. So what happens? They have to back off. So they're here and here. Like, Cloud9 is using their range advantage to great success, except they've lost a couple. But you'll see with a Widow, you can still put on good pressure. Especially when they're running a Mei and no other divey stuff. So C9's offense going pretty much as expected. Kong is staying indoors and trying to force them into close-knit areas, right? They have to take the point at some time. But they get a pick, right? Long-range stuff. Bubble. That was actually a really good move right there. If we look at this bubble, and then she's right above it, so Mei can't hurt her. People inside the bubble can't get anything done. They try to retreat to a closed-in area, but they just get destroyed. Cloud9 executed this very, very well. So, yep, that's what happens when you run. Just look at this comp. Oh, they got a Winston now. The Winston could have applied pressure to the Widow, but they didn't have that. They had nothing. They had nothing to stop the Widow or the Pharah. They tried. You know what, guys? They tried. They stopped him for a little bit, so there's something there. So Cloud9 switches to a Reaper. Again, very odd. But hey, it worked out last time. So Winston dives in. Defensive ult. The Genji waits a couple seconds while Lucio ult's going on, so it kind of like wears down. And they get a couple good picks. Pharah flies up above, gets another good pick, splits them up. This part, she gets a little bit greedy. I said it today, chase 2 rabbits, you lose them both. She thought she killed the Roadhog before actually finishing him off. But the Roadhog nano ult, we'll just go back. But this one, they dive. The first damage is mitigated by the Lucio ult. So there's the Winston dive. Right here. Lucio ult. So all his damage is pretty much mitigated at this point. It's going to be tough to take this back. Lucio ult starts wearing off, so Genji ults. Mei ult comes down, so he has to run away. He does get the Lucio. And Pharah gets another one. Mercy, I believe, used her res there. Yeah. So she rezzed the... What was it she rezzed? Oh, the Winston. So the Hog, this created a whole bunch of space. And it pushed everyone here. And from that, Hog Nano is so goddamn strong. So there's the Mercy pick. Quite literally. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't... It was looking bad, but that Roadhog, you can see the Roadhog ult. It clears house. Winston ults, but yeah, there's... What can you do? I mean, you can punch people, but that's about it. So at this point, we get a wholesale change. Dive comp is aborted. Maybe not a wholesale change, but a bit of a change. We're going to see how Cloud9 attempts to attack this. So they do this a couple times, if I'm remembering correctly. They just kind of push up with the Reinhardt. Okay, it was a different point I'm thinking of. So what Cloud9 did here is they put a bunch of pressure onto this back corner. So Roadhog and I believe Diva. Not Diva. Who was it? Oh, the Roadhog and Pharah were over there. Pharah migrates left. But most importantly is the C9 defense, or the Kong defense. They just left. They're like, we're not dealing with this shit. So now Roadhog's over here doing, doing nothing. Anubis comes out with Pharah. This is so close. Also, one thing to note. Sorry, I'm trying to look over my notes. Is as the Hog and everyone commits to this right flank, Lucio used an ult. And so the supports left. See how Lucio and all of them just ran? They're just kind of waiting out the Lucio ult, which it does. Lucio goes away pretty quick. Not much damage was mitigated at that point. So at this point, I'm looking over my notes. We'll see. There's the Diva. I believe the Hog is right there. The Pharah is right here. So the defense has essentially reestablished the line. And I look for that a lot in fights. So there's the Reinhardt. So the Reinhardt is right here. Hog is here. Diva is here. The enemy Reinhardt's over here. This guy's way out of position, right? Like, Diva is going to control this area. Hog has this area to hook and this area to hook. And the Reinhardt's just going to go straight on top of him. The only thing helping this Reinhardt is this fucking Lucio. Like all Lucios, he's just riding on the wall. You see him? Look. Good job, Lucio. Good fucking job. So they just... They got the point back. They left Reinhardt too deep in. He gets killed. Lucio gets killed. Cleanup starts to happen. I'm not sure why they all backed out and they gave them the line again, but they did. At this point, yep, everyone's dead. Now, for attack 3. This, I'm going to warn everyone, this is a very strange way of initiating, and they do it a couple times. They just run in, and they ult. They just walk up and do it. Like, what a ballsy fucking way of doing things. So, if we do this very slowly, as soon as Zarya ult hits, this is really cool. This Reinhardt walks past the enemy Reinhardt. Right? The shield is right there. He walks past them, and then he ults. And he ults the back line as well. So I thought that was a really, really cool way of doing it. Defensive Lucio ult comes out, and you can see the defense is hurt. 1, 2, 3 are down. They got a Diva, a Pharah, and a Lucio. Now, the Lucio is doing what Lucios do best. Right, while this is all happening, Diva's on point buying time. Lucio's... Watch as Diva gets demech'd. Ults. Gets her mech back. Oh no, she doesn't. She dies. Sorry. But what this does, as you can see, like, they keep trading on. Like, Lucio will come on the point, and Lucio goes off the point, and Diva comes on the point. Oh, Penguin, thanks for the 2 months, man. Thanks for this resub. Where was I? Oh, yeah, so they're just hopping on and off at on the point at really good intervals. It sucks that they all die, but this does buy... I mean, look, they're cutting really close. Now Hog's on here. Nano Hog. Nano Hog ults. Nano Hog gets killed. Tracer was on point. Tracer was on point, buying seconds. Now Diva's on point. Lucio gets his shit kicked in. There's Diva. She gets demech'd. And then all of a sudden, they're about to lose. But I forget who jumped on point at this point. Oh, the Reinhardt hit happened. So right here, you're going to see a Reinhardt. Now the Reinhardt's on point, and he's going to ult. So the Reinhardt starts getting some kills. Reinhardt's dead. The Diva's dead. Tracer gets the defensive Reinhardt. Or no, that's the offensive Reinhardt. And they start cleaning up. Once a couple picks happen, cleanup starts taking effect. But look at this. This is probably 2 seconds. If they didn't hop on and off the point at really good times and stagger it with every single person individually, this point would have been lost. No doubt about it. Like, they really should have lost it there. Even for a stagger comp, I think they did, like, incredibly well. They played 2CP. Even though everyone hates 2CP, you still got to play it, right? And you got to play the 2CP games, and they played it really well there. But that Tracer was getting mad damage in. She already has her ult, and she just changed. Actually, no, this is her second ult. So they do it again. They do the same shit again. They just walk up, ult. Instead of Reinhardt ulting the backlines, they just charge the Reinhardt and kill him out instantly. Pharah, she gets slept. That always happens. Defensive ult comes out on... Or offensive defense... Offensive Reinhardt ult comes out on the Diva that got ulted. Rez comes out. Now they're fighting on point again. And look at this Lucio. Tracer on point. Like, Lucio dies, Tracer's on point. This hook. So Roadhog hooks Diva and pulls her on point as they're capping. And then Roadhog ults and pushes him. Oh no, sorry, that was the other Roadhog. Whoa. So defensive Roadhog ult pushes them all in a corner. That Mei wall was pretty good, but Lucio ults mitigates the damage. Now defensive Lucio ult. This allows people to stay alive on point. The Mei gets taken care of, and now the Lucio's still up there. Like, this stall comp's fucking annoying as shit. Like, this is rough. They run a Pharah. Pharah comes out. D.Va comes on point. No one's dead yet, and then they finally get something. The Pharah gets the Lucio. Or no, sorry, that's the other way around. The D.Va comes on. She ults the point, and it zones everyone out. Right? Everyone had to run, scatter. Now they got the point back. They get one kill from it, and Tracer gets the Mercy pick. Also, Reinhardt gets a pick on Hog. This saves the point, and we can look right here. It's a smidge. And that's why I think back to that hook. I think back to that hook that pulled the D.Va on point, and I just wonder, I'm like, was that fraction of a second the win? But yeah, hold on, let me just look at this one more time, because this one's pretty hectic. Yeah, this fight was fucking nuts. So yeah, Zarya initiates again at her feet. This time, Reinhardt is charged and killed right away. Reinhardt gets sniped from behind, or we're going to see the defensive Reinhardt, yep, gets sniped from behind. The Cloud9 one dies. And Roadhog hooks the D.Va and ults, so that eats up the D.Va. But he doesn't accomplish with that. Mercy races the one back to get on point. The constant Lucio and Tracer dancing on point is stalling. This is where the Roadhog hooks the D.Va on point as soon as she responds. Right there. Oh man, that's such a rough one to call. Reinhardt starts hammering people while Mei now gets on point to stall. So now Mei's part of the stall point. C9 clears the point again except for the Lucio. And again, the Tracer. She ults and picks the Reinhardt. Right there. C9 clears the point again, except the Lucio again. Tracer picks the Reinhardt and stall for more time for her allies. Kills the Rain, and then D.Va ults the point to get another kill. So now they're down 2. And then once at this point, everyone's alive. And the point's been reclaimed. It's hard, man. It's hard to play it better than Cloud9 did. It's just 2 PC shit. Or CP shit. It's rough. So now we're looking at the 4th attack. There's a lot of poking going on here. Nothing's really committed. It looks like I think they're waiting on Mercy ult. Right, see they're not really committing. They're just kind of staying right here. They're doing poke damage and see if they can get any, like, capitalize on any type of damage or a kill. While shooting, this happens. Like a super good pick on Ana. This is going to be the signal of just an all-out attack. So the Pharah got caught, and then they wombo it. Raze comes out, and then that fucking Tracer with the stall. And then they win. They killed a lot more people at one time, and the stall was left to a Tracer who got killed. That just went... It happened in overtime, but it still happened. That's 2 CP for you guys. It should be better now. I think this was on the old patch. But they get a key pick on the Ana. The Pharah gets hooked out of the air. The Zarya and Pharah both ult to kill 2 more instantly, so there's 4 gone. And because everything was killed so quickly together, let's see if we can quickly look at this. So Ana pick, this is the first, like, just, I don't want to say lucky. Really good poke damage. From here, you'll see the Zarya right there. Defensive Pharah gets hooked, gets killed. Zarya ult on the 2 tanks. they get ulted. At this point, yeah, 4 are dead. They killed the 5th on the side, and it's just a tracer. And the one guy that did die, they raised. So that was much more cleaner of a point. But that Ana pick into a Pharah pick for free, and then you got the Wombo behind it, that's great. It puts a lot less pressure on your tanks because they don't have to ult everyone, right? You don't have to get a 4 or 5 man ult once 2 are dead. You can just get a 2 or 3 man, and you're probably going to win the point at that time. So again, we're going to make an educated guess on the compositions. D.Va, Winston, Genji. This is long. This is dive comp, right? Soldier to buffer the damage. So looking to pressure while the enemy attacks, or yeah, because Cloud9's on defense. They're looking to as the enemy attacks, they're going to dive on them. Kong, they're pretty standard. It's the same thing. A bunch of tanks and a Widow. What they want to do is push slowly forward while the Widow takes, pot shots. It's the tank's job to take ground. And no, where was I? Here I was, right? Yeah. I find this very confusing by C9. But look, the Winston runs, and so does the D.Va. Right? Like, what? They all just ran away. Like, alright, they gave space to the composition that they shouldn't, right? So they just kind of walk up here and take shit. They take all this area. I think the Roadhog's suspicious. He's like, what's going on? Where's everyone? Right, for a dive comp, they let them get so far. Soldiers in the back, he's trying to do stuff. And he's getting sun damage done. Here comes Genji to dive on the dive, right? Or to dive on them. He gets 1 kill, but they let the whole entire team run on point. That's not the point of a dive comp. You want to engage when the enemy's engaging and kill them at the logistical level. So they just kind of... It was rather bad. I don't know what their plan was. So Widow goes Tracer. Here they come in the sides. This is a way to attack. They just kind of let them get on point. They really let them get to here for free. The D.Va's mech gets blown up. The Reinhardt's trying to put on pressure. Because they're retreating through just a single choke point, the shield covers the entire thing for this soldier ult. He still gets one, but it was rather messy. Here comes the Wombo. Genji gets put in a corner and then hooked back and then killed. But it's too little too late at this point. With the defensive respawn advantage, like they gave it a good shot, but couldn't get anything. So, point 2, attack 2. Second attack come through. This time we're pushing down main. You know, pokes happen, see if anyone can get anyone. You know, he gets a little bit of damage. Reinhardt shielding Reinhardt's. Diva does her normal thing where she tries to disrupt. And then this shit happens. He got caught. I'm not exactly sure what stops the Reinhardt right there. But he gets hooked because of it. I'm actually not sure, like... The Reinhardt charges, I guess he hits the bubble, and he falls down. But then he gets hooked. Offensive Lucio ult comes out, she bubbles it. That was really, really close. But this Tracer's doing, you know, good stuff. So now they're on point with 6, or no, with 5. This Tracer's really scanning this guy down. So a very clean engage. Good Zarya ult. They get a couple. They get a couple more with the Reinhardt ult. At this point, they're looking fantastic. Reinhardt zoning Reinhardt, but it gets this really good charge in there. That charge opens it up for D.Va. She ults, pushes everyone off point. And at this point, they just have to redo the fight. D.Va ult's really strong on this one. It buys 4 or 5 seconds, which allows you to get respawns in and allows you to take the point again. So it was a clean engage on Kong's part with the Reinhardt getting hooked. They immediately pressure the rest of the team who backs up. Lucio stalls for time until D.Va gets back. Zarya gets a good ult off, but it's broken up by the Reinhardt ult. Genji gets killed and Rein follows up with another. So let's look at this one a little bit closer. Because this one is really cool. I'm not sure how much of this was planned. Isn't D.Va ult a sphere? So it doesn't matter if it's above. They throw it up in the air. The point is to get around a shield, maybe. Also, as the ult's moving, it's harder to judge where it's going to land sometimes. But it just makes things more complex. And why not make things more complex if it makes your opponent mess up a little bit? So Kong is going to engage the right flank while putting a little bit of pressure down center. You can see him here. They both jump in. The Roadhog, they commit. This is a full commit. This baits out, and I say bait, but this gets out a Nano Blade. But look, the Zarya and Roadhog are already gone. Right, they've disengaged. They get a Reinhardt kill, but Roadhog was almost near spawn. Like, I expect this level of engagement not able to get back out, right? Like, this is way too far in. I assumed he was dead. But they do this really cool move where they just run away. I believe they Lucio boosted out. I was not expecting that. But what happens is this forces the Genji and Ana to use her ultimates. And they pull ahead with an ultimate advantage now. So, because... I always say this. Because attackers attack... the attackers get to choose when to attack. So if the defense comes out and they ult, the attackers just go back. They don't have to attack right then. They get to pick and choose. That's the advantage of being on attack. So they committed a little bit too many resources, I would say. But the attack did look legit. Like, it would have fooled anyone, I think. Having a Roadhog and a Zarya that far in, and a Reinhardt, I would assume that's a committed attack. But they were able to boost out. So, right there, Reinhardt got caught being greedy. Right, he charged, gets hooked, immediately gets punished, he gets killed. Tracer, after killing Reinhardt, goes in the back line and just, like, lines up the headshots. Eliminates Mei. Ana tries to fight. Ana gets killed. D.Va gets demeched on point. And now this Tracer's hunting down everyone. Reinhardt ult gets blocked. The charge happens, but he gets sleep darted. Pow. So Reinhardt gets saved. They kill the enemy Reinhardt. Mei's doing a normal stall shit in the corner. And now both Reinhardt and Zarya have ult, and they've had it for a bit. I really like this. So Zarya ults right there. Mei ults. But Zarya ulted, and they got the Ana here from it. The Mei was killed, just not outside of the ult. And now they get on point again after the Mei ult. Genji ults and immediately gets hammered. This is... I think it's in the future. But I've noticed Kong likes to save a very heavy controlling ult for Genji ults. They give it the proper respect, and you will see it a couple times where Reinhardt goes out of his way, he saves an ult for when Genji ults. And they get it. So I think Kong respects the C9 Genji. And to the point where they will save a Reinhardt ult for it. But this entire point was just really good. This Tracer opened it up. I think it was even before this. Yeah. So it's like 30 seconds ago when this actually, like, really, right here is what really happened. When the Reinhardt, this is the cause of everything. The Reinhardt gets killed right away. Tracer comes in, kills the Reinhardt. Tracer dives deeper with her team. Even through a Lucio ult, kills the Mei, kills the Yana. This is the crack in the defense. And she even goes over and she kills the Lucio for everyone. Right, at this point, 4 have died, and now the whole scramble starts. Reinhardt ult gets blocked, gets slept, gets killed, as everyone comes on point. Right now, analysis kind of goes out the window. I mean, it's good that they're pushing people up on the corners, like the Roadhog and the Reinhardt. But they're just trying their damnedest just to keep people off the point. This looked really good, but this re-engage with Zarya ult, and then... Sorry, the Zarya ult happened before. This re-engage with the Reinhardt ult on the Genji that's ulting. That could have saved the point for him, but they specifically saved that for Genji, I think. In fact, I'd put money on it. That Cloud9 is... they know they're getting... Or Kong knows the Cloud9 Genji's pretty good, so... Not bad. So at this point, both teams attacked, and we're still stuck on Anubis. Oh, no, we're not. Hold on, skip too far ahead. Don't worry about me. Shh. That didn't happen. I didn't make that mistake. So here we have overtime, or the second round. Much to my dismay, Cloud9 is running the same dive comp for defense. Kong has changed up a little bit. They traded one tank. No, they had a fair last time. All right. They're doing... Looks like both teams are doing the same thing. And they're doing the same thing. Here's that Winston that ran away immediately, and here's that Diva that ran away immediately as well. This time they're running a Tracer. So they're fighting the dive comp with their own dive comp, right? Winston, Tracer, Genji, Diva. This is very, very heavy on the dive. So they get bullied off again. And now, right here is super important. Tracer sees the soldier. And she goes, hey guys, remember that formation we went up against last time? Like, they're doing the exact same strategy. The exact same thing. This is a win by... I'll just bring it out again. Oh, information. They know exactly what they're doing. And this time, they're running a dive comp. So they do what a dive comp does best. They're just staying around the outskirts. Genji flanks up here. Right? Genji's over here. The Tracer's over here. And watch what happens. A call is made, and they're just like, alright, Winston jumps on top. Winston dives. Genji's going to dive back here. Diva's going to dive right here, and Tracer's going to dive right in here. Immediately get 2 kills. Like, they lose their Ana, but they've lost a couple. Right now, and they're just deathmatching it out. And what they're going to use eventually is the advantage of the spawn. So after the defensive formation was cracked, now they're just kind of waiting for reinforcements. This is really... It was poor planning on Cloud9's part, and great planning on Kong's part. Like, amazing planning. Once they saw the soldier back there, and they saw the Winston and the Diva run away at first, they're like, hey, they're just doing the same shit. Let's flank all around. They flanked like all 3 directions, and they dove in on the heart of the manor. So all they had to do was just sit on point until the reinforcements came. It just becomes a stagger at that point. It sucks. Oop. But with that, Kong is up to 2 wins. Cloud9's at 1. So this is Watchpoint Gibraltar. And like always, we're going to take a little crack at the teams. Dive, dive, dive. Protects the dive. Long range. So Cloud9's going heavy dive comp. Kong, classic 3-2-1. Right? And 3-2-1, what it does is it holds the front line very strongly. Or very well, however you want to say it. And they use the soldier and the Ana in the back to really put on the damage. The front line's really hard to crack with 3 tanks. And constant long-range support. So before anything happens, Tracer flanked everyone. This is an offensive Tracer, and you're going to say, wait, that's the second point. Yeah, that is the second point. She got really far behind everyone. So this little sneaky maneuver happens. Kong engages on Cloud9, which is acceptable, right? She flanks from behind, and Tracer, I don't want to say she gets a lot, but she does some stuff. She helps kill the Roadhog, helps kind of kill the Ana, and then deals with the soldier a smidge, not much. But just these couple picks, these 2 picks are enough to push the defense out. It was really weird. Yeah, the Tracer makes a long flank, results are questionable, it still gets work done. Kong dives on the enemy team, soldier following up a few seconds late. I'm not sure why they dove in there on the first point. Sorry to keep going back, but when I look at my notes. So they all dive. The soldier's like 3 seconds late. Well, not 3, maybe 2. The 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3. Yeah, he's kind of like 3 seconds late. And they just kind of get out-bullied, which is really strange for the dive comp. I would assume with more tanks, or at least the non-Winston tank, they would be able to out-damage them. But it looks like the Winston with the AoE damage kind of tipped the scale, right? Because the big change is the Winston versus the Hog, right? Those are the 2 differences with the lineup for damage-wise. And Winston, when he can hit 3 or more targets, he's doing amazing damage. And the Roadhog got picked off quite quickly. Here's the second point, and they are diving the hell out of them. The payload's not even through like the door yet, and they really pushed the pressure on them. And here's a funny thing. So Kong has, it's even, right? They traded 1 for 1, but it looks like they have less men here, right? It looks like 3 or 4 against the entire team. Genji ults, but gets stuck in a Zarya ult. And I always think, I'm like, guys, you should really be wary when there's a low number of enemies and they're attacking, right? You usually don't get attacked by weaker people. In fact, I think it's statistically proven that you just don't get attacked by weaker people. So when a weaker person comes to attack you, something's up. Like either they got a gun or a knife or a Zarya ult for chance. So when a team's being super aggressive and it looks like they have the disadvantage, expect something. And so that's why I think the Genji ult was a little weird. I don't know if you wanted to capitalize on them diving and you thought you could do it faster than the other team, but that's not the case. Or minigun, yeah, minigun. Alright, so not much to say there. They get big banged, right? I do want to make note of one move though. So because Winston bubbled in here as well, Ana can't get her shots in, and Ana's right here. I think Ana dove in here on purpose to try to save her team. Right, you can see her right here. Here's the Ana. I'm not sure if the ult sucked her in or she jumped in and tried to bionic grenade to save the team. It was a cool idea, but it just didn't work. There was too much damage. Also, it should be noted that dying with your team, if everyone's going to die, die at once. Here we go. So, Cloud9 pushed up to the choke point, right? Correct thing to do. And Kong busted out. The Winston dives a little bit too far, but Reinhardt comes from this way. And they're all just kind of pincering on the point. Soldier ult comes out, gets nothing. Lucio ult mitigates all the damage, and he just gets focused down. The Reinhardt and the Winston, they dove back. Like I said, the Winston dove very far right here. But the Winston and the Reinhardt came from over here, and they just beat down the Zarya. Zarya is one of the most important targets to kill, I think, in the game of Overwatch. As it goes farther and farther, she gets stronger and stronger. So, Winston, Team Zordian beyond effect. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. So at this point, after all the dives happen and all the lives, what do we got? We got a 5v5. Again, Reinhardt's here, Winston's here. They've established the line. At this point, it's kind of like re-engaging in a fight. They do have a little bit superior positioning over here and right here. Well, superior, it depends on how you see it. Depends how you take advantage of it. So, from here... And so now, since the enemy's all the way in front, the Winston's way in back, right? So now, since the line was established here, one guy's behind, so they all just crash on him. Right, you gotta, as soon as the line gets reestablished, you gotta remember all the rules again. So both Winstons dove each other's back lines, and here we see it again. Reinhardt ulted. Before this even happened, Reinhardt had his ult. Right, even before they busted out. So again, look, Reinhardt's holding his ult. He's holding his ult here. Even when Soldier's ulting... Oh, right, that's his Soldier. While everything's going on, he's holding his ult. This is why I really, really think they're saving Reinhardt ult for that Genji ult. Because this one's very and oddly specific, right? During that whole time he never ulted, like, man, that's a lot of faith in your teammates. And as soon as it came out, killed him.
그래서 바꿨죠. 이거 반성해야죠. 그래서 바로 아나로 바꿔줬는데 근데 이렇게 되면 2점 먹는 것도 장담을 할 수가 없는 상황이 됐어요. 이런 프로신 이렇게 이런 1분도
There we go, the fourth attack on the second point.
실수가 정말 큰 실수로 보이는 것이 바로 이 1분입니다.
So they're poking, they're posturing, they're just trying to take high ground right before the dives start happening. People just posture for space, and they're just trying to get a closer space. So Cloud9 gets up into the upper, they take ship, and they push through it. Or they try to. Winston comes in, but he just gets smacked off. There's a guy, get the hell out of here, Winston.
나오냐 나오지 못하냐 이게 중요하겠죠?
So it starts this entire engagement. Cloud9's taking the upper area, as you can see. Is that right here you can see Winston engage. Winston has engaged on the ship. And then he gets stuck from Tracer's ultimate. He has to ult to save it, to not die. And what this causes is he just stays up here and he starts smacking everyone and keeps them in the ship. Anyone who falls out, the Tracer fell out, she got killed. Lucio fell out, he got killed. So it was a really cool idea of using Winston ult to force people to stay in the ship, and anyone that came out got targeted and focused down. Which essentially kills the push. As soon as 2 kills happen, the push is over. Different. I mean, it's a neat idea. Usually, you want to try to use Winston to break up the formation and force people out. And when he kicks people out of formation, you kill them. Instead, this time he just forces everyone in the ship, and anyone that does get out gets focused. So Soldier switches up, and again the Zarya just run up and ult. That is such an effective way of Zarya ulting, it's crazy. Just running up, Zarya ult the floor, followed up with Winston and you know, a couple hammers. There's not much tactically to say there. It's just very clean cut. Now this is funny. I don't know if information was leaked, but they really planned that they were going to try to push up here, and they bet a lot. They bet the entire Reinhardt ult that he came out, came down, fire strike back, and then he stopped the Reinhardt from charging with his own charge, and gets a team wipe. He gets this fancy ass kill. Pow! That was a nice kill. I don't know if they looked to the playbook and they knew they were going to come up that way, but it was a cool move. Again, people, every now and then you can do something sneaky. Just don't depend on it. It's when you start depending on the sneaky shit that you start losing. It's good to throw it in every now and then as a mix-up, just so the enemy can't get a good grasp on what you're doing all the time. So here we have Winston putting pressure, but he's in the middle of nowhere. He's putting pressure alone. And with the Lucio ult, he can't deal any damage. He just kind of tickles the enemy. And you'll notice that this is the first time that the Hog actually gets a pick. So here he is. He's trying to capitalize on the Zarya ult. He does good damage, but actually doesn't kill anyone. But he finally gets a good hook. Gets the Tracer. Soldier follows it up with his own ult. And then Zarya ult happens, but at this point they lost too many. And it's hard to see right there. But as Zarya's doing damage, Zarya's right here. She gets hooked as well and gets killed. And this finally takes enough of a numbers advantage to take the point. Ana and Lucio, they do a suicide pact together and jump off the cliff. So they kind of look for anyone still alive now. They all jump off the edge. But it should be noted that that was the first time the Hog really got some good hooks. I'm not saying that to like talk shit about the Hog, but Roadhog's ability is complete. It's just taking someone out and then pushing. I think he's not being used as effective if you can't get a good hook.
정말 천만다행인 상황인 거죠.
So now they run a defensive Widow. For this point, it's good, but you know they're running a Winston and whatnot, so expect pressure.
분쇄를 막으면서 때에 따라서는 버드링도 견제해주고 윈도우메이커도 같이 견제를 할 수 있고 정면에서 이기게 만들 수 있기 때문에
Which they do. The Reinhardt jumps in, so does the Winston.
오늘의 컨디션이 너무
Winston gets slept, then focused down. And then the Widow starts widowing. Get 3, force to disengage. Good defense. And actually, I forgot to mention it before, but they had a Winston when they ran a Widow last time on Anubis. And the Winston actually got completely outplayed and got soloed by the Widow. So this is the second time this has happened. So here we have them trying to force the issue.
그리고 상대방에게는 등세의 선수의 로드오그는 각성성이죠.
You just saw Blue waste. Kong wasted a Reinhardt ult right here. They Lucio speed boost in and then try to force a Reinhardt ult, but get stuffed. And this commitment with no ult follow up gets, I think, everyone killed. Yeah, it gets a team wipe. So again, attackers, remember, attackers attack. So defense has the luxury of sitting back and waiting until the attack happens. When you force into things, it kind of makes things rough on defense. Not much to say about what happens here. The Wombo, everyone's dead again. 2 team wipes in a row, give them the point. But yeah, let's just go back to this, because I think a lot of people do this in normal games, where the defense gets a little bit too aggressive, and this aggression, if yielded correctly, Cloud9 yields to this pressure, and they just let Kong come in. And once they come in and use their abilities, then they have the ability advantage, right? They have the cooldown advantage, and they just start killing everyone. Yeah, be very careful when attacking as defense. It's good to put pressure, but, you know, don't do it in a terrible way. Hardblue might get picked up again. Roadhog is still amazing. No matter what they do to the guy, because of Hook and how it operates, it's really strong. This is a cute thing they do. They run Hanzo at first, and they put a dart here, or an arrow, so he can see if anyone's in there with the Sonic Arrow. And then he goes switch back to Lucio. Just looking at team comps very carefully. A little divey with the Winston Genji. This is your 3-2-1.
봤더니 3탱 그냥 뭐 무난한 조합이네. 뭐 이런 생각하는데 디바가 없어서 유지력은 그렇게 뛰어나진 않거든요. 네, 그것을 좀 이용해.
So this is very. I think this is probably the most educational part. Are going to be these first couple attacks. So they ran a Winston Genji down here, and they're going to try to take the high ground, right? The high ground right here. There's a soldier, there's a, I believe an Ana's up here, and a Lucio's over here. They're trying to do this with the Winston Genji. Now, if you remember the last game I looked at, Lucio was used to hold the high ground to great success. And they're using it here again. So with this extra sustain between Soldier, Ana, and Lucio, and the Boop, they essentially hold the high ground. Now this does, since you're doing a 2-on-3 trade, so Blue is committing 2 up here, while Red has 3. So you do have the numbers advantage on the cart. And what happens is as you can see, the numbers advantage, it doesn't yield in a kill, but it does yield in space, and they start pushing the cart up closer. And when the cart gets closer, now Winston and Genji can freely dive on the high ground as much as they want. So they do exactly that. But again, the sustain and the boop holds the high ground. Soldier or Genji gets outplayed a little bit. He tries to die. This is fucking great Lucio work. Winston jumped up, got booped off. Soldier just had him the entire time. This is really, really good defense. If you want to learn how to hold a game in competitive mode or with 4 or 5 of your buddies, this triple stack on the high ground, all with sustain, all with like long range abilities, and Lucio with his boop, you can hold the high ground to an incredible degree. The 3 tanks on the cart, they just hold the cart, and the Winston kind of helps out with whoever's diving whoever's weak. Again, right. Oh man, Winston tries it again and gets denied again. At this point, the long range comp starts doing what they do. Winston's just kind of jumping around. He's not doing much. He's forced to ult. He gets the Ana. He tries a fancy juke, but it doesn't work. But he has to retreat because of it. The 3 tanks holding the line with the long range classes in the back is so effective. So this is like the 4th attack. Let's see how they deal with it. This time they overcommit, or they commit heavily. Nano Blade on the high ground, but Soldier has Visor and his own Ana. Genji gets shut down completely. Roadhog gets killed right away. There's still time. Like, it's at this point, you know, the attackers are down 2. Soldier runs around, you know, barely escapes from dying, gets a Lucio pick. And they hold. They hold quite nicely. Now we see Cloud9. I believe they switch up to Genji at this point. Yeah, it's Soldier. I think we'll see another change. Okay, we haven't seen it yet. This is good to notice. The Winston jumps up here and he directly attacks the Soldier from attempting to compete with the high ground. Roadhog ults the main cart. This pushes everyone back, and he gets a... I don't want to say it's lucky, but he gets a good pick there. Now, as everyone's pushing in, this is just simple shit. As the Reinhardt was pushing in, this Reinhardt just came around and ulted the back lines. He gets 3. But... oh, that was it. Lucio went to Zenyatta. And this is to bolster the Soldier attacking the high ground. The Zenyatta pays off dividends there. He beat the hell out of Rein. Ana ults, gets slept. At this point, it's kind of a stall for time to get reinforcements. But Reinhardt, again, bides his time. Ults it, gets 3 with it. And they finally clean up from there. This was looking really bad for a second. But just getting that Reinhardt ult, getting 3 with it, that's what secured him the point. Before that, very good tactical learning on both sides. How to handle the high ground, how to hold it, and how to break it eventually. Essentially, you have to pressure it so hard, either up high or down low. They finally broke it. The up high pressure got countered with a nano visor, but the down low pressure finally caved in. So, as expected, they push up to the choke point and try to hold it as much as they can. Soldier's holding this other one. I wish I had a better spectator mode because we just see this. Cloud9 has retaken all the way to the ship. Before that scene change, Kong was at this point, right? Or is more adept to say here, right? And Cloud9 was in here. For whatever reason, they yielded all this space, but now it's back up to the ship. This Soldier vs. Soldier, man, it was a nice duel, but the guy cheated and put on his aimbot. They crashed down on the ship with all these ults, but got too greedy. The Winston got the Soldier. We have the Hog, Nano Hog, trying to hold, just put people off. But fucking Nano Visor's so strong. Takes back the point.
이제 9m가 26m가 되고 계속 뒤로 가는 전장이 있습니까? 벌써 뒤로 가기 시작했거든요.
이렇게 되면 정말 영원히 못 갈 수 있는 거리가 됐기 때문에 자, 콩두샤 좀 더 힘을 내야 돼.
이번엔 아까 전에 여기서
So here we have monkey on monkey action.
우리 같은 애들끼리 붙자.
네, 근데 윈스턴끼리 싸울 땐 궁수면 안 됩니다. 그렇죠. 큰일 나는 거죠. 다못 죽여요.
So they're just jumping around like monkeys do.
자, 멘도가 리퍼.
And now
이거는
Winston comes up here, but they have a Pharah. So Kong, they must have specifically wanted to take the high ground. They see incredible value in it, and to the point where they run a Mercy Pharah. What Cloud9 does is incredibly smart. They drop down, and they committed on the
My
lower
genius
flank.
is finally recognized.
Oh, PD Ray, thank you. Thank you for the sub, man. So this is a cool thing. When you start thinking about Pharah, and when you start thinking about maps in this way, above the ship is one flank, and below the ship is another flank. So don't think flanks as left and right, but up and down as well. So when they had a numbers disadvantage up top, they just dropped down low and got a numbers advantage down low. So the Pharah Mercy are pretty much out of the fight right now, and they're coming back into the fight slowly but surely.
딱 총격이 좋게 생겼잖아요.
So they clear everyone off.
싸우면은 결국 파라가 딜할 수 있는 상황이 잘 안 나와요.
This is really good. Oh man.
진짜 잘 지어줍니다.
딱 총격이 좋게 생겼잖아요.
이렇게 난
So what you don't know, it's hard to see, but there's 16 seconds left. So someone has to do something. Now this monkey's still ulting,
Aiming's overrated.
and as the nano boost hits Pharah, she tries to concussive grenade in, but Winston smacks her back. Right there, it completely denies it. At this point, the nano has been wasted. The Pharah Mercy go up above, and the Winston Reinhardt crash down below, again for the numbers advantage. The Pharah Mercy have to dive on point just to try to stop it, but they get beat. So it's really interesting when we talk about, especially this point. Let's see where Pharah comes out at first. So here's this. This is the soldier duel. Okay, this is when they first do it. So Kong takes the high ground as soon as possible, and C9's at the choke. This is where C9 pulls back. I don't know why, but they do. The soldier for soldier on top of the ship. The ult confirms the victory, but then pressures hastily and dies. Kong loses the high ground advantage, and C9 pressures by diving the Winston and Zarya on cart. This nets the Reinhardt kill on Alt's Hog to clear the rest of the space. So there's the soldier getting greedy. There's everyone pressuring the cart. Gets hooked, gets cleared. At this point, Roadhog ults. Here's the rest of the cart. But everything was used up, and when everything was used up, Soldier and Nano Visor have the fucking best time in the world. And then comes the high ground game at this point, and that's what I really want to focus on. This fight for the high ground is kind of a red herring. As soon as they overcommit on the high ground, they just go low. And they do this to great success. I believe they do it 2 or 3 times. Yes, Pharah's here. So it's really, really important to think of flanking as high and low as well as left and right. But with that, they hold the point. And they get a nice, look at that nice fan. You deserve it, Cloud9. You deserve that fan. And so at this point, overall it's 2v2. Yeah, we can see it. 2v2. Coming down to game 5.
그렇죠. 저희가 3자가 이 정도인데
So let's look at this stuff. Cloud offense. Cloud9, they're not running a Junkrat.
보통 1승 2패하고 만약에 올라가잖아요. 오히려
Let's see what happens when they actually get to their classes.
블루가 그럴 수 있을지. 자, 콩도 운시아의 수비 버블리가 시메트라를 일단 들고 나왔고요.
So here we go. It sucks you gotta wait till the last seconds to get it. Dive, dive, dive. This supports the dive, and then Pharah is essentially setting the dive up with damage. That's going to be the whole theme with Cloud9 with this type of lineup. You want to dive, but you want to use the Pharah to a good extent. So Pharah is going to be the initiator. She's going to create an opening with damage, and they're going to try to jump on that weakened target. That's usually what a heavy dive comp with a Pharah or any type of long-range class seeks to do. The enemy is running 3 tanks, Symmetra, and a McCree. The 3 tank, I kind of consider this, at least on defense, kind of a counter dive. And it's not a counter dive. What they want to do is they want to use up resources as you engage, and they want to take like mid-ground fights. And then as soon as you engage, they want to come right back on you.
자, 버드링, 맥크리.
Snapback? I don't know what to call it.
아이언발드 전장에서 시메트라가 확실히 활약을 좀 잘 해주고 한번 맞기 시작하면은
Yeah, they're looking for you to commit, and they want to take back small spaces immediately. So, Tracer gets picked almost immediately. And this wastes about another 10 seconds. It's crazy to think how much this one pick affects the game. But yeah, it's already 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. So that was a waste of 30 seconds.
맥크리가 진짜 미친 듯이 잘하면 가치 선수가 굉장히 위험해지는데
So here's the pokes. And Pharah lands a lot of good shots. And this calls for the dive. So she landed 2 good shots. Winston, Genji, immediately on. Diva's in there as well. And a bunch of deathmatching takes place. And the problem is Symmetra has auto-aim. And she just fucks up 3 people really, really quick. They get the Ana as well during the dive. But Symmetra gets 3 kills before dying herself. At this point, it's pretty risky to take the point back. So Kong does a really interesting tactic. They kind of just chill back. Zarya's in there. Diva's up here. They're both healing. They even give up 2 ticks. And then they finally engage as soon as they have what they feel comfortable with. That was a really good fire strike, which leads to her death. So that pullback, both ways, I think is important. Remember, you don't lose the point until it all caps. I know you want to keep each tick, but sometimes you have to play a little bit slower to win in the end.
체력이 굉장히 많이 빠졌었어요. 자리한테 맞아서.
야, 2칸 먹는데 만족을 해야 될 것 같고요. 이거 생존에 갔으면 포화까지 있는 상황이고
So they kind of clear them out after they get the advantage. They get a numbers advantage and they pressure that as they get reinforcements.
이거는 버블리 선수가 보호막 생성기보다
So with all those kills,
보다가 순간이동
she already gets her ult, which that's it's not incredibly fast. That's kind of normal, right? 1 failed push, 1.5 failed pushes will cost you a Symmetra ult.
근데 이것을 아예 뒤로 돌아
This is fucking dope.
의해서 정말 많은 것들이 발전될 것 같습니다.
그럼요. 저 원시까지
Good shot. That's really important to get. So Tracer nullifies that ult completely.
버블리가 그동안 그렇게 안 돼서 모았던 한 방에.
So
버블리가 그동안
Reinhardt, it's hard to tell right here. You can only tell because of this, but Reinhardt ults right here, and he hits 2. They net 2 kills. Pharah counter ults and gets 2 as well, but she dies herself. This move against the Genji, really good for McCree. And this is what pulls the numbers straight into their advantage, right?
버드링까지 하나 더 한커. 자, 줄줄이 선수로 엮어냅니다.
예, 역시
So this kind of was dead before it even started, with the Reinhardt ult getting 2. Pharah tried to bring it back with getting 2 ults herself, but it resulted in her death. So now it's 3 dead to 2 dead, and then getting that stun on the ground, putting Genji out, really, really good by McCree to completely finish off the push. Here we go, Winston dives immediately in. Genji dives immediately in with his ult. a bit of crazy shit happens, and this is kind of a little bit of this happens twice. I don't know what the Zenyatta was doing. So this is a smart engage by Winston, just because he hits so many with his AoE. Right, I think he hits 3 or 4 people here. Forces everyone back. McCree immediately dies. They get the Ana as well. So things are looking really, really good for him. Diva ult comes out on point, and I don't know what the Zenyatta did. The only thing I can think of is he's trying to heal the Genji, or he was trying to make it back to the right, or there's a Winston back here. There's a Winston way back here. And he's fighting a Lucio Zarya. So my only things is he dies, so I'm guessing the Zenyatta was trying to get to him. But it just seemed very late. So the Winston dies. Pharah, it looks like she's doing work, but she's not finishing any kills. It almost feels like a Junkrat problem right here. She's shooting everyone once and can't finish them off. While this was happening, the Zarya, as you saw, got 2 kills from her ultimate. Yeah. This is really good. So while everyone was busy on point, the D.Va dives past everyone and focuses down their healer. She realized, and you realize pretty quickly that you're not doing shit against that Pharah. They dive to get the Zen. And then they dive again, and you'll see they get the Lucio right here. So both the healers are gone. Winston forfeits his life. But it's a pretty good trade. They have no sustain now. At this point, there's 14 seconds left. Both teams are going to kind of reestablish as best they can for the final attack. Whoop. So while all this is going on, no one saw this Pharah flanking, but Lucio pre-ults because there's only 1 second left. The Pharah gets 1 kill, but dies before getting the second. So it was kind of a 1-for-1 trade, and the Lucio's already used his ult, so it's favorable, right? I would consider this favorable for the defense. And this buys Lucio buys their time enough, or his team enough time to get some damage done. Genji though ults, he gets 2. And then there's a mad scramble on the point. It's at this point it's 3v3. She's just Lucio's just spawning. The problem is they got a Winston against 3 squishy classes, or 2 squishy classes. It was a 2v3. So if we go back just a little bit so I can better explain this. Oh. So here it is. Yeah, Lucio pre-ults. Gets Pharah killed. Pharah only gets 1. Reinhardt right here, it's hard to see, but Reinhardt ults 2. You'll see him use his ult. We can't see it in the game, but right there he uses his ult as he dies the Tracer's ult. But he hits Tracer and he hits, I believe it was Tracer and Winston. Again, here's this Zenyatta. I was trying to track his movements around. I don't know what the fuck the Zenyatta is doing. I don't know where his movements are at, but it looks like he comes around this way and he comes out this way. And he doesn't really do much on the point. It looks like he was very little help right here. But he's getting chased around by a Winston and then dies right there. I wish I had a better spectator mode to see what this Zenyatta was doing. But this is the second time the Zen comes up last, and he comes from some weird angle and he doesn't really do much. I wish I could explain his actions better. I can't, though. Right here, now here's the 3v. Well, it was the 3v3. We got the Tracer, Winston, D.Va. This is a tank advantage. Right. They got the hit point advantage, and Winston's really good against Genji and Lucio. Yeah, the extra tank, the extra Winston switch was pretty smart. Also, the Tracer just outputting DPS the entire time. It was a bit chaotic, and I'm really surprised it worked, but it did.
기적 같은 드라마면 본인이 완벽해야 돼요.
Here we go. Cloud9's defense. They got a Hog and a McCree, so this is an incredibly strong mid-range team.
자, 콩두샤 이 조합이 일단 버드링이
So 3-2-1 with McCree, not so much dive because they don't got a Winston, but instead of the dive comp, they just make up for it at extremely strong mid-range with hooks and McCrees. Kong actually runs. Look at this fucker, he's back. Reaper, what are you doing? Reaper's finally back. They're running 3 tank and Reaper, which reminds me of Cloud9's first push on Numbani. Slightly. So this is scary. Both teams exchange Reinhardts, but they both get bubbled and they both back off. Creepy as shit, but it worked. Like, it was quite scary. But Roadhog, again, this is that mid-range I was talking about. Roadhog gets a good hook, and everyone just starts dying. As soon as 1 or 2 picks happens, as soon as 1 or 2 people are out of position, it really fucks up the entire formation.
당신의 죽음에 애도를 표합니다. 이런
Lines reestablish, second push happens. McCree's already got an ult, by the way. This is quite the quick one. And he ults here, and this seems really, really forced. Right, they dive for the McCree ult, speed boost, cracks the shield, and gets a kill. It works, but the attackers just sit back and they get their 1 respawn. And since my biggest critique with this type of maneuver is that they engaged, they got a kill, but it was an instant kill, and then they disengaged. So no one really got ult built up, except for the passive intake. And maybe a little bit of damage was put to ult usage, but not much. There wasn't much ult gain there for Cloud9. So here comes the Wombo. It's not very Wombo-y. In fact, Zarya eats shit from it. They get a pick. This gets a little bit more ultimate percentage for Cloud9, but still not a lot. Not the amount I would expect from having 2 ults used in a row. You would hope those ults would net at least 2 or 3 other ults. But I mean, they're getting close. Roadhog gets his ult, Reinhardt is getting it. But they're definitely stalling for time, if nothing else. So here comes pretty much one of the best exchanges of the night. Zarya flanks. We're going to go through this one really slow. Zarya flanks, ults the main line, pulls it back. They Ana ult a Reaper. But Reaper gets pushed back by a Roadhog ult. So this is a really cool exchange. This was like tit for tat. Zarya flanked. Roadhog and they engaged on top with Ana ult. Roadhog pushed them all away. He tries to go up to again, but Roadhog pushes him back, but he cuts him off this time with his ult and also gets a Lucio. Now Reinhardt tries to ult the ulting Reaper, but doesn't get shit. At the same time, the enemy Reinhardt ults the Zarya, and they get a kill. But as they rotated under, McCree rotated over and ulted 3 of them on top. So now it's a 3-for-3 even exchange. Reaper gets stunned, almost saved. Good ass fire blast by the Reinhardt to kill off Reaper. But even better anti-heal by Ana. Ana gets a sleep dart. And here is the weirdest shit. We'll just look. McCree gets smashed. And because everyone was low health with anti-heal, they claimed the point. But yeah, let's look at this. The only thing I can explain this for... I mean, look, Reinhardt's clearly in front. And then the McCree just gets sucked up. This leads to McCree's death. And the only reason I can explain this is from Junkrat's tire. So we know Junkrat's tire is measured from center of mass, but on the ground. Right? So my assumption is McCree, while his model is here, I believe his center of mass is probably where he initially got slept, on the middle of the ground. And that's the only thing I can think of, is that it hit the center of mass before it hit Reinhardt's center of mass. It's the only thing I can think of. But this gets the McCree killed, and since everyone's anti-healed and low health, the hammer just comes through. And here comes the scramble. Everyone's favorite phase. Everyone just jumps on point and DMs. Aww. And that is how Cloud9 loses a best of 5. Yeah, that last attack was actually pretty interesting. This exchange, this flank went overhead, Roadhog pushed everyone away, Reaper cut off his escape route, killed him and Lucio, and while all this was happening, the McCree rotated over. It's really good at averting, essentially they keep on, the DPSers, your main job is to survive, and the way you survive is by rotating when the enemy rotates, right? If someone rotates down, you should rotate up. It was a cool exchange. It almost worked. I think if this Reinhardt didn't get a little bit greedy and try to ult the Reaper for whatever reason, I think if he used his ult in a better way, it could have netted a different thing, but it's saying too much. No, they lost because they're facing Koreans? No. Cloud9 definitely had a chance to win this. I don't think they were that outplayed at any point in time. I mean, they lost Nepal. They lost Nepal and Anubis. And the Anubis loss... It's Anubis, man. Who cares who wins that fucking map? Surefour is definitely... But he's a DPS guy, right? Like, those guys are meant to do work. You are right, Penguin. He did do a ton of work, but that's how their team is slotted. And so I think they shake hands. Oh! This was actually quite funny. Yeah. I mean, there are good lessons to learn in all of this. I know, like, the mid-ground of this review was quite dry. In fact, I even skipped over some of my notes on accident. I didn't talk about... I think the... I mean, like I said, I'm kind of just starting doing this. But the watch point, I definitely missed some notes on. I try to keep it vague and tactically sound, but sometimes it's just actions that happen, and I'm like a caster. Which I really don't want to be like. I don't want to be like a caster. Cloud9 loves to drop the ball. I don't want to say any part of this match was... well, their Anubis defense was bad on point 1. I think it was really bad. Not even the execution, it was just what they ran. Using the dive comp on Anubis first point is really risky. Especially when you run it twice in a row, I think it's likely to get exploited for its disadvantages. You learned something, Tiny Guardian? Awesome. I'm glad you did. Yeah, I mean, I still got a lot of work on to do on getting better at these.
그대로 게임 끝납니다. 네, 그렇다면 이번 턴에 그거 한 번만 잘 막아주면 멘도 선수가 또
The only thing I can think really to take it apart is I believe
Timing's overrated.
Kong did some research on Cloud9, and that's why they held a lot of ults for the ulting Genji. That happened 3 or 4 times during this entire match. Cloud9, whenever they won, it looked like
먼저 도줘요. 그래서 돌진을 쓰고
and they were no. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from either of them. But they both played very well.
자기 방법으로 잘 버텼죠.
건 없었고 버들이는 그렇다면 딜로 정리하죠.
But yeah, does anyone have any questions? Any suggestions? Should have just ran Junkrat on Anubis defense. Tough to say, you know. Yeah, I gotta figure out how to start doing these either quicker. Am I doing more reviews like this? You really enjoyed it. Yeah, I need another game to do. I'll see where the Carbon Fiber series and the Apex series is at. Don't worry about it, James. Your viewership right here is enough. You don't have to give me anything, man. Just your viewership, and if you get something out of this, then I'm more than happy. Sort of like not enough cowbell, but not enough Junkrat. No, I don't think of that way. What do I think was the pick they shouldn't have used? In Eichenwald, I think the Farah pick was weak. When C9 was on offense,
당신의 죽음에 애도를 표합니다. 이런
this is C9 on defense.
같은데 같이 먼저 끊었고요.
I think this Farah pick was poor.
있습니다.
She just didn't get enough work done. Oh yeah, Flame Strike. That's what you said. Lunatic High versus Runaway. Do you know what series that was from? When are you gonna do KongDoo versus Envy? Is that another good one? Capro, yeah, I've critiqued other people's Junkrats play. That one's from Apex? Alright, thanks. Do I have any specific thoughts on the PTR buffs? No, they're amazing. That's it. What happened today, Assassin? Are there logs of those critiques? I mean, I have my own logs. Oh, they're on YouTube. If you're talking about if you're talking what I've done for other viewers, yes, they're all on YouTube. Ow, fuck my knee. If you're talking about like this, I mean, if you're talking about like this shit, Envy versus KongDoo happened today. What the fuck is today? The 7th. Tuesday, 7th. I'll look at it. If you're looking at these notes, I mean, they're all fucked up. I mean, I spell most things incorrectly. I jump around from idea to idea. They're a little bit hectic, and I think like I skipped a good part of these. I gotta get on like a better note-taking system. But any critique like I do here, any review like this, yeah, it's on YouTube. But anything they shouldn't have ran, I mean, most of their choices, I don't like, here's the thing, I don't like talking about specific classes because I don't know everything about every class, and no one does. The last thing I reviewed, who was it? Oh, Meta Athena versus Envious. Meta Athena had the craziest Lucio that was killing Reinhardts and pushing Widows and killing Widows, and they really used him to great effect to hold high grounds and push people away. And I would never in my wildest dreams tell a team, be like, oh yeah, you know what you need to do to hold that high ground? Run a Lucio. And like, I would never think of that. And even if I did think of that, no one would fucking believe me. They'd say I'm insane. So it does take pros, you know, they have a different mindset and they can do things that others can't, and they can figure out things that others can't. Not that they're always right, but like to pick on one class, just to be like, oh, I don't like this Zarya pick. They could have done X, and this is what I hate. They go, oh, if they would have ran like Pharah, and they could have killed these guys and done this, and this whole thing would have been cracked wide open by Pharah. Like, this is such a fucking assumption-based system. I deal with what tools they give me, and I like to talk about that. So if something doesn't do work, then I would say, hey, like, I don't know if this was as effective. Maybe something should be done about that. And if I said, like, oh, this Zarya isn't effective, why? I'd have to say, like, oh, she's not holding like part of this area, like she can't do good damage here, or like there's some fundamental flaw in her what she does, and I'd be like, well, this is what it's opening, right? She lacks this area that can get taken of advantage by Y, and I'd be like, well, however you want to solve problem Y, then do it. If you solve it with a Mei, then do it. If you solve it with a Junkrat, well, fucking great. Like, however you solve these problems is up to you. I would just tell you what problem like kind of existed. Any advice for ranked anxiety? Keep playing. Keep playing. You'll get used to it. I think the Anubis game, the only thing I'd have to critique would be C9's defense on point 1. They ran the same thing twice and it just didn't work. For this one, Nepal, I think Nepal was fine. I think Nepal really... Man, Nepal, they got destroyed on. I think they needed to flank a bit more in Nepal. They moved as a team, which is really good. It gets shit done. But it's these 5-1 flanks that really open the game. This is like this exact thing right here, this 5-1 flank. They put 5 going the main route. Right? They have 5 coming in this way. And this one flank destroyed them. It's stuff like this. But I mean, they did it on point 2, right? They flanked with the nano soldier. So I mean, they're doing it. I think all the classes they ran here were fine. Both teams performed very well on this one, Numbani. The thing that gives me the hardest problem to critique is I don't have enough information. I only have this one game, so it's hard to say if patterns exist based on this one game. That's more of the type of person I am. What I seek to do is for someone to find me and say, hey, how do I beat the same things that Cloud9 does every time? And I'd look at like 7 or 8 of their videos, I'd get a bunch of information, then try to figure out some way to, you know, stick a knife in their heart the most efficient way possible.